Lead me in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning again. We have a very full program today. Just a few announcements that I have, and if you have any, we'd love to hear those as well. So the first one is, this is the final reminder for the 125 Club. We do have some really nice prizes, and of course you've heard lots about why that's such a great cause. So if you've already contributed, thank you. And if you haven't and would still like to do so, you have another week. And we will announce the winners next week. Are there any other announcements or anything that anyone would like to share? Paul?
Good morning, everybody. I just want to thank everybody for all the collections for the socks, the coloring books, the pillows, and the magazines. We've been doing quite a bit this month, but next month I think we'll taper off a little bit. So thank you again.
All right. Susan?
Thank you for voting for the Rotary Pumpkin. Unfortunately, we lost by 5 votes.
Oh.
I know. So anyway, but we still won 224 pairs of socks. The person who decorated that pumpkin, the painted one, put a lot more effort into it. Yours were great though.
Just a real quick announcement, as part of Ohio Dublin Speaker Series, there is an event on Thursday, November 7th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. We'll have speakers talking about how to eat properly and promote health. So the program will include research-informed advice on diet strategies that promote optimal health as you age. And then tomorrow is the City of Dublin Shred event from 9 a.m. to noon. So if you have documents that you need destroyed, we will be doing that tomorrow over at the service, actually the Fleet Building at 6351 Shire Range Road. And we'll have 2 on-site document shredding trucks there taking care of that tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks. Can you just, I read up on it.
Mhm.
You have to wait in line, they'll take your documents.
There will be 2 lines. It doesn't matter which line,
Okay.
both lines. We just do that to speed things up. So there'll be 2 lines. So instead of waiting in like 75 cars, you wait in 30 cars, let's say, if you arrive at that time. So it moves faster. And both trucks are the same. It doesn't matter which line you get into. And then we also take like hard drives and stuff like that.
You take hazardous waste too?
No, not tomorrow.
I think I had the same question. Any other announcements? So we have a special treat. Actually, every meeting this month, we're doing 2 truths and a lie. And today we have Sarah and Trish.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. All right, good morning. It's my pleasure to introduce Trish Piliato. So these are her 2 truths and a lie. Trish has seen a baseball game in all 30 Major League Baseball stadiums. Trish went to London to attend a concert in Hyde Park with 50,000 people, and Trish speaks Russian.
Yeah, Russian. Yeah.
Baseball.
Я говорю по-русски чуть-чуть. So it is in fact the baseball thing. I've been to 21 of the 30 stadiums so far. So it's partial.
All right. What concert?
Oh, I went, this was, I think it was like 4 or 5 years. No, it's been 5 years ago now. I went to the 40th anniversary concert of the band The Cure in Hyde Park in London, which was a pretty amazing experience. So, and there were 50,000 people there. So it was great. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes. All right, thank you. Sorry. All right, and I'm excited to introduce Sarah Harrison Mills and her 2 truths and a lie. Sarah first became familiar with Rotary at the age of 17 when she was living as an exchange student in La Serena, Chile. Sarah married a chef and developed a passion for cooking gourmet cuisine. Or Sarah's home renovation was featured in Columbus Home and Garden magazine.
That you married a chef.
Yes, no, you're right, I hate cooking. And I kind of married a chef, not officially trained, but he does enjoy cooking.
We did discover something else we have in common. Do you want to tell them what that is?
Sure, so I was born and raised in Michigan, and Trish and I found out we both attended the University of Michigan for graduate school, so.
We're gonna say the.
The University of Michigan.
David, do it there.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. And what you've all been waiting for, Mr. Jeff Shaner.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you're all doing good. Happy first of November. Okay, I was asked to keep it short, so I will do it because we got a very busy schedule. So I do have a couple guests here today. I have Lauren Bliss, Emily Bliss, and Jamie Bliss is here today. If you guys would stand up, thank you. Yeah. And they are a guest of Cap Plagues. I also have, I believe it's Kitty Rohrer, is that correct? Yes, thank you so much for coming. She came all the way up here from Grandview this morning to see Barb, so that's good. I only have one fine today, just because I have to keep it quick, but this was left up on the thing. Now, you can't leave stuff around with the Sergeant Arms, okay? So this is yours. I'd like to open the bidding at $5.
It's decal.
It's a beautiful, it's not the coffee, it's the cup.
Oh.
Okay. $5. I don't have it. Will you do the $5? That's awful nice. You have it, you have a very good friend. So based on the, yes, sir. I have as many times as Gene will allow me for it.
Brand new, right out of the wherever they're made, Happy Buck. My 103-year-old mother and 1/2 by 2 days passed away this week, and she is doing well. And this new buck just replaces the 103 years of wonderful life she had. The next wonderful 100.
Well, congratulations to her. Paige, last year I had an opportunity to go up to Michigan for someone's 100th birthday. And if you ever get invited to anybody's 100th birthday, I don't care where they live, you go. So great life, I'm sure.
On the next page.
All right, very good. Very good. In fact, I tell you what, the fine today will be in respects of Paige's mother today. So if everybody would throw a buck on the table, that would be fantastic. Yeah. Paige raising you and she lived to 100. I don't know how anybody could do that. So we'll go right to the drawings today. I don't think I have anything left. The small pot today is $20. The large pot is $233. So Gene, if I could just ask you to hold these on here real quickly, I would appreciate it, and we'll get on with our program.
The last four, 0162. 0162.
All right, hang on. Would you like the large or a chance to draw for the would you like small or a chance to draw for the large pot? You go for the big pot, go big money. Okay, this one's for the small pot. And I'll come to you.
0199.
All right, cool. All right, great. Go Bucks. Thank you guys very much. Have a great weekend. Sorry about that. Okay.
All right, we have two programs today. Pat, if you'd like to introduce your guests again, and we'll go from there.
No, you don't want to hear me speak, so we've got Lauren Bliss here. Lauren's a sophomore at Scioto High School. She's got a great service project that Mr. Witt said you need to have her speak to you about it. So Lauren, you're on.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name's Lauren, and I'm a sophomore at Dublin Scioto High School. I recently founded a nonprofit organization called Color Me Happy, where we use art to promote happiness while teaching others the importance to be kind. So basically, when I was in 3rd grade, a friend of mine was really sick and she ended up being hospitalized over Christmas. So this was really hard to watch her go through that. And when she came back from being hospitalized, I asked her, hey, what was the best part of your stay at the hospital? And she told me how she loved this huge art kit she received. So as an elementary school student, I thought if art could make one person happy, I'm sure it could do the same for so many other people. And that's why I started collecting coloring books and raising money for local nonprofits like the Ronald McDonald House and Sam's Fans and Nationwide Children's Hospital. So I do this through a couple ways. I partner with schools mostly through basketball games, coloring book drives, and other events like that, kind of similar to what you guys did for me. But since founding as an official nonprofit in January of 2024, we've been able to do a couple more things to spread awareness about what I do and why I do it. So this summer we had a Chalk the Walk event where a bunch of people in the community came out to draw positive sidewalk chalk on a local bike path just to show others how simple it is to be kind. Also in September, we were invited to a Children Fights Childhood Cancer Awareness event in Bridge Park, and we got to meet a lot of other well-established local nonprofits and kind of get our message out that way. So I'm really grateful for all the work that you guys did to support me, and I really hope that we can continue doing stuff like this together in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. Our next speaker is going to inform us about the interfaith engagement in our community. Welcome Barb and her guest, Imran Malik.
Thanks, Jean. Thanks, everybody. Imran will follow me and I'll introduce him in a bit. Thanks for allowing us to speak here today. This is great. It's a tough act to follow. You are a tough act to follow. So, like I said last week, we usually don't talk about politics or religion, and especially around this time of year, we don't talk about politics, but we're going to talk a little bit about religion today, but in a different way, I think, than you're used to hearing about religion. So, gosh, this is a lot to coordinate. We're breaking that rule, obviously, this morning, talking about religion. So today, Imran and I are going to focus on 2 interfaith ecumenical groups that promote dialogue, understanding, and service among people of different faith traditions. These 2 groups are WORD, W-O-R-D, which stands for, I'm the queen of acronyms, is what I am. I have a lot of acronyms. WORD stands for Women of Religious Diversity, so that's one of them. The other group is SAIL, which stands for Safe Alliance of Interfaith Leaders. And so way back, I feel like saying once upon a time in 2003, because it seems like so long ago. Oh, that's WORD right there. And 2003, yikes. That was me and my friend Jessa in 2003. So in that year, Jessa and I, both members of Dublin Community Church, United Church of Christ on Bridge Street in Dublin, began a women's group there. Not unusual. Many churches have women's groups. Many churches have men's groups. No big deal. This group was no big deal until it was a big deal, and until it is presently a big deal. Back then, we had 10 to 12 women of various ages, including several young moms, as I was then, and Jessa was, who just wanted to gather for conversation and support And it very quickly grew into a larger group of 30 to 35 Christian women, mostly Christian women, from our church and a few other churches we did primarily Christian-based Bible studies. A couple of years later, in 2005, 2 women of the Islamic faith from the Turkish community here in Dublin, Central Ohio, were passing by our church on Bridge Street, right next to the Dublin Cemetery, and they noticed this banner with the words, "God is still speaking." They were new to the area and were really curious about what that banner meant. They very bravely, in my opinion, walked into our church and asked to speak to someone about the banner. They spoke to our senior minister at that time, Reverend Charles Cook, and they expressed their desire to be in conversation with women in the community of other faiths, to learn more and honestly to practice their English was one of their goals. Reverend Cook called Jessa and I, and we spoke with them, and they were anxious to come to our group. Keep in mind, this was 2005, not long after 9/11, just a few short years after. And there were some in our group who were skeptical, who were concerned about some agenda that these women might have by wanting to come to our group. This could not have been further from the truth. We warmly welcomed them, and that began a nearly 20-year relationship now with the Islamic community here in Dublin. Over these many years, we've studied books by Islamic, Christian, Jewish authors, and at that time, we named our group WORD, Women of Religious Diversity, which I think truly fits who we are. Ever since that time, we have met September through April via Zoom on Thursday nights since COVID, and in person on Friday mornings. When I leave here, right at 8:30, that's where I go to make coffee for the 30 to 35 women of WORD that come, and Kitty is one of them. We offer childcare at no charge to those attending to enable those moms and grandmothers to easily participate in our group. It has been an amazing and thought-provoking journey of learning and serving and appreciating so much about our different faith traditions. In terms primarily of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, as we study books by Islamic, Christian, and Jewish authors. If we have one rule in our groups, it is that we are not in the conversion business. We are there to learn and appreciate each other's traditions, and speaking for myself, this has absolutely been the case all along. I grew up in Southeast Ohio as a Catholic and basically knew nothing of other faith traditions, like zero. As I have explained some Christian traditions to my Islamic friends specifically, my faith has grown deeper, and I think the same is true for them. Together, we have joined in iftar dinners during the season of Ramadan, with donations being given to local food pantries. We have held interfaith gatherings in homes, churches, mosques, synagogues, and temples. We have had baby showers for some of the new moms in our group. We have assisted new immigrants in various ways. We have served meals together in underserved areas. We have volunteered together at the Dublin Food Pantry. We have had joint bake sales to raise funds for local, national, and international causes, and many other endeavors, because these are things that we can all agree on. And I am truly a better person because of these interactions. Our similarities far outweigh our differences, and this is so apparent when you work together for the good of others. Our WORD group was fortunate to be featured in 2 magazine articles, one recently in Dublin Life, and several years ago, my friends Aaliyah and I were asked to do a story from both of our perspectives in a science and religion-based Turkish magazine publication called The Fountain. I'm not going to another slide, that's okay. Oh, that was one of the Ramadan dinners that we held at our church. That was one of the LDS Latter-day Saints church temples that we visited. Another interfaith gathering. Oh, here we are at the magazines. All right. So several years ago, the one was in the Turkish magazine. Copies of both of those articles are on the table for you to take if you want to read those, and the magazines are there too. Please leave the magazines, but take the copies of the articles. I could say so much more about the amazing friendships and just relationships that I made with women who would have never crossed my path if it weren't for this group. But in the interest of time, my dear friend Imran is going to talk a little bit more about SAIL, the other interfaith group here in Central Ohio. As you know, and he won't mention this, but Father Stephen Smith, who some of you know from Rotary, Father Stephen Smith and Imran Malik founded SAIL. I don't know the year. It was several years ago, 2009, I was gonna say 2009. I am currently president of SAIL, and through this group, we promote interfaith and ecumenical endeavors, all of which include giving back to the community in some way. These endeavors include 2 events that we sponsor each year. The National Day of Prayer Breakfast, which is in May, first Thursday in May, and the Thanksgiving service, which is coming up the Thursday before Thanksgiving. There are flyers on your table about that service. There are my cards. There's a little mission statement of SAIL there as well. So I invite Imran to talk a little bit more about that. So Imran.
Thank you, Barb, and please don't go too far. I think we're gonna have plenty of time to do some Q&As as well if there are. So very good morning and assalamu alaikum, which means peace be with you all, just like the Jewish greetings shalom. So Interfaith work in the greater Columbus area has been there going on since early 70s. Ever since the diversity of the communities have been kind of influxing to the great Ohio State University, the people of diverse cultures and religions have been able to do work together. ICO, which is stands for Interfaith Association of Central Ohio, is the oldest and largest interfaith chapter in Greater Columbus area. Most of their work has been focused towards the central part, metro part of Columbus. But in 2005, New Islamic Culture Center, we became operational in Hilliard, Ohio, right off of Wilcox Road. We were reached out by, in 2009, actually early 2009, by an evangelical priest from the Northwest Chapel Church, Terry Hoffaker. He reached out and said that it is a shame that he's an archaeologist by profession and he goes to the holy sites every year. But he had made a lot of friends in Middle East, but it's unfortunate that we are just right next door, but we have not yet connected. So Terry actually took the initiative and included myself, Father Stephen, who was part of the Rotary, and we all know him that he was the pastor at the St. Patrick's of Dublin. We started inviting our friends in the faith group, in the Dublin, Hilliard, Westerville, and also Grove City area, mostly towards the western part of, Greater Columbus area. And to our shock, we were kind of, very quickly educated that interfaith work in the suburban America is more like interdenomination. It is not through cross barriers of Judaism, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, Jainism, Sikhism. So that was kind of a shocker for us. So we took upon ourselves that we have to do a lot more work to better our relationship in the suburban part of our communities. And to that realization, SAIL was formed in a fluid structure in 2009 and officially in 2010. I forgot to bring my thumb drive, so I really don't have the pictures, but you can probably rely on Bob's picture. Ever since then, what our focus has been to bring folks together in spirit of services. We, again, are not in the business of converting each other, and we are very upfront that, we respect each other's faith traditions, their spiritual journeys, but the idea is that how do we all work together and make our neighborhoods, our communities a better place and a safer society all around. And as Barb mentioned, there are 2 major events that the SAIL has been hosting. One is Thanksgiving, which is coming up on November 21st. The flyer is on your table. Please join us, bring your families. It'd be great to have you all. Our focus is always around the Abrahamic faith tradition, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. But we also bring in members of other faith traditions, sometimes from Hindu religion, sometimes from Baha'i, sometimes from Sikhism, to kind of have a little bit more diversity in the conversation as well. In addition, as Barb mentioned, we also host one of our annual events, which is the Prayer Day of Service, which is the first Thursday in May. It is a tradition that was carried on by the Ronald Reagan's presidency. Over the decades, over the years, it has been kind of on and off. But for the last few years, Barb has been very staunchly and very religiously making sure that we are able to host that in Dublin. We host at different locations throughout our church communities or faith communities, and it's great to have participation to come from many different parts of the world. I think a couple of years ago, right after COVID, we hosted a pastor from Ukraine because the war in Ukraine was going on. So we brought in that, insight from what the Ukrainian community as new Americans are going through. And long story short, like it's just not these two events, there are multiple other opportunities we kind of participate. We collaborate with IPO, we collaborate with WIN, which is another chapter in the suburban district where of Greater Columbus area that came into realization after sale. It is the Worthington's Interfaith Neighbors, and they are kind of also in the similar line of work. They do bring candidates and speakers to talk about different stories of new Americans and how the assimilation actually happens. We also work in relation with the political offices, elected officials, and also many nonprofit organizations which are cultural in nature. The idea is that, how we all work together and make this community and this, ecology of ours better and safer. I will leave it on the last comment, and we open the floor for Q&As. Sales model has been borrowed through by many other communities. Community members who were part of Columbus and then moved on to different parts of the country, Texas, West Coast, Denver. I personally know that they have started similar footprint in the new homes that they have moved on to. So it's great to see that, our momentum has been kind of like, replicated, and our hopes are that this positivity and work of, optimism continues on. And this is very much in line with the Rotary's mission as well, to bring communities together. I've been on and off part of like Hilliard and Dublin Rotary in a speaking capacity, and I greatly admire the work that you all do. And let's give a round of applause to all of you for the work that we are carrying on to make the world a better place. So.
Thanks, Imran. And we'll do questions and answers if anybody has any, but I hope you've gathered from the information that we've shared that Dublin and Central Ohio region are really diverse in many ways, and that is to be celebrated. Our children are likely more aware of this than we are because due to the wonderful diversity of our school system, they encounter people of different faith traditions all the time at school. But as adults, we may, because we have the choice, we may tend to surround ourselves with those who are more similar to us than different. So I feel the goal of interfaith work is to learn from other faith traditions, not ignoring our differences because there are those differences, but concentrating more on what we have in common and, more importantly, what we can do together for the common good of everyone. I would have missed out on so many experiences if not for the opportunities and friendships made possible through these groups that you've heard about this morning and the other organizations that Imran has mentioned. Before we get to questions, I'll just close with this quote that I loved, and I heard it at one of my very first interfaith gatherings. It's an anonymous quote, so I can't give credit to anybody, but it just speaks to what I have believed all these years since getting involved with this. And it says, "Our differences may at times define us, but they need not divide us. At all times and in all places, may our common goals unite us." So again, thanks for the opportunity, and we welcome any questions that you might have. Yes.
In the northwest part of Columbus, we're very fortunate, and I've seen the advocacy for diversity, and I'm really glad we're seeing that in the northwest, and I'm very fortunate to live in Dublin. I'm wondering the outreach on the east side or the other parts of Columbus, like the Nepali community has grown quite a bit on the east side. I was wondering if there's a counterpart organization on that side.
Good question. Do you know about the east side one?
Sorry.
So there is an organization which was initiated by the Lutheran Church. It's called EPIC, East Side Partner Interfaith Community, and that is kind of focused in the Pataskala, Reynoldsburg area, Binghamton side of the geography. Unfortunately, it requires consistency of people that could get engaged. Skip Cornett, who was a great friend, he was actually part of that initiative, but he actually passed away last year. So I think we are still trying to find leaders in that community who can lead that effort. Now, beside the faith community, when it comes to culturalism, of course, Columbus is a global city. So we have immigrants from all seven, or new Americans from all 7 corners of the world. So as new communities come in, whether it's Syrian, Afghanistani, or Bhutanese or Nepalis, and Ukrainian members who are coming and joining our ecology, we do extend our work through the city's initiatives as well. In Dublin specifically, I've spoken in the last year when I was here as a speaker. We talked about kayak, and I know Ingrid is here somewhere. She's now part of the kayak as well, and kayak is a community inclusion advisory commission that the city of Dublin has formed. And the idea and the philosophy is that as our social fabric is growing and, becoming richer with diversity of culturalism and faith community, the idea that, let's bring everybody to the table. We have representation from pretty much all ethnic groups that reside in Dublin, in kayak. And the idea and philosophy is that, we be part of each other's celebration of faith traditions, cultural traditions, and that's the reason why it has become a prominent idea of lighting up the Dublin Link Bridge for any major event that happens within our community. And the good thing is I've been hearing, I chaired that commission for the time being. That has kind of put Dublin out there as a North Star of Ohio, because a lot of other communities, like, where diversity is growing, whether it's Cincinnati or Cleveland up in Cuyahoga area, county area, they are also trying to replicate similar in their city councils as well. So yeah, again, there's this greatness of the social media that kind of, can be given a credit to, that, that brings our communities and our world a lot more connected. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there a men's group or a men's and women's group together?
Yeah, well, so at our church, Dublin Community Church, where Word was started, the women's group, there actually are two men's groups. One meets at 6:30 a.m. during the week, which is an ungodly hour, like not to tell a pun religiously, but it's an ungodly hour. But anyway, they meet, and then there's another Saturday morning group that didn't want to meet that early. So there are two men's groups at our church. They are not necessarily interfaith, just because they haven't been able to kind of get that started. They would welcome people of other faiths into their groups as well, but they do kind of Bible studies and books by different authors of different faith traditions. So yeah, so yes, Ingrid.
Well, Barb, let me just acknowledge Imran's work, and Imran, thank you. It is such an honor to see the work that you do for all of us. And can you just say another word about City of Dublin and really City Council and Dublin's support for the kinds of things that you're leading us on in the city?
So it might take maybe a minute long stretch, so just bear with me. So right after the COVID, there was a lot of controversy that happened at the school board level, at the city levels, communities all around. We didn't know how to navigate through such controversial times. So the city of Dublin, the city council actually took the initiative to form a task force. The task force was basically, diverse leadership of diverse community that exists in Dublin, to bring them together and, put some thought processes or the area of focuses that the city should be getting engaged to, whether it's like, the diversity of culturalism, diversity of age demographics, aging population, housing issues, COVID, pre and post pandemic, related issues. So the task force basically came up with the 8 ideas that as a draft of a recommendation for the city council to adopt. And out of the task force, they became 2 new commissions that were formed by the city council. One was the Chiefs Advisory Committee that our own Dublin Police Department Chief Justin Pice led. And the idea was that, how do we make security as a pivotal and important factor of learning and raising awareness in that direction among all the constituents. So I served on the committee for a couple of years to begin with, and the idea and focus was all around making our schools, the SRO, operational statement of work kind of redefined, and how we can improve those and build relationship and outreach from the police and the public safety aspect into the constituency. And the second commission that was formed about a year later was the kayak, which is the one that Ingrid and I are serving. It's called the Community Inclusion Advisory Commission. And as I mentioned, the focus was that how do we build the bridges between the decision-making that happens at the council level, and then what are the changes and the pain points and then opportunities that are consistently changing social fabric is going through. And that is, where we were able to come in as a new commission and able to advise the council on different, changes that are happening and how to be present and build that outreach, and vice versa. We took those, changes and those decision-making on behalf of the council to our respective community that we were all representing. And now that role has been kind of converted more to like a consulting role, with the code change that, we went through after 3 years. And the idea is that, when council goes through some of the changes, for example, when it's like, opportunity to kind of, revitalize the Dublin metro area when we are doing, which is being done like, through the public community engagements for Envision Dublin or any other major project that comes to the council and they want to hear from the constituency, then the CAI becomes as an advisor, as a council, to kind of give a recommendation. We're not the decision-making commission by no means, because council is the one that has the elected authorization to do that. But our philosophy is that, we help them at least see all the perspective from a communal side and vice versa. Like when a decision is made, how do we implement it back to our community? One of the major things that, came out of these discussions was also the NDA of the non-discrimination ordinance that was approved for the pride community in which is a major segment of our Dublin ecology as well, which was a big kind of feather in the cap that we were kind of boast about, that we were able to pass that through the city's ordinance as well. So again, there's a lot of collaboration, and this is the opportunity where we are kind of like in the bridge between the council's work and the constituency that what they have to provide as a feedback to the leadership. So I hope Ingrid that answers.
Thank you, and
Okay.
thank you again for your leadership. It's amazing the number of
Thank you.
hours and meetings you go to.
Thank you. Bless your heart. And thank you to all the members of the kayak. I know this is not a kayak event or topic, but I'm more than happy to come back at a future date and also talk. Ingrid and I can talk about that as well. So.
Any other questions? Yes.
Second word, how do you pronounce that and what does it mean?
Oh, on here,
Yeah.
ecumenical. So interfaith refers to Christians, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, all the different faith traditions, interfaith. Ecumenical is among the Christian denominations, ecumenical dialogue. So I often say, sometimes it's easier for us to talk to as Christians. Sometimes it's easier for us to talk to somebody of the Islamic faith, knowing that we have differences and just acknowledging that, than it is for a United Church of Christ person to talk to a more conservative evangelical person or somebody at a Baptist church. So because we have these little differences that make our Christian churches denominations, and there's so many of them, we have these little tiny differences, but those become like a major thing when you're a Catholic trying to talk to a Baptist about something, or when you're a Methodist trying to talk to a United Church of Christ person about something. So that's where the ecumenical comes in. So our events are always interfaith and ecumenical because we need to do a better job of bringing people of different traditions together other than Christian. And we need to do a better job of bringing the Christian tradition together among people of different denominations. Does that make sense? Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you. Yes, Jean.
Are there things we can be doing to support the commission work that you're doing?
So sorry to derail into that kayak again. There are term limits of all the appointments. All the appointments are done through the council's approval. So every May we have opportunities of folks recycling off, and the openings are published on the Dublin City's website. And those who are interested and would like to participate as a community member, or of course once you're on the commission, then you also have the opportunity to become a chair or vice chair in that capacity. We have currently we have 11 members, and I think 3 of them might be recycling off next this coming May 2025. So there'll be 3 openings. Same thing for the community for the Chiefs Advisory Commission. There are openings that happen like every year, and we don't recycle the entire commission at the same time, just to make sure that the continuity of the vision remains in some capacity. So yeah, I mean, if you are interested, please, you can talk to myself or Ingrid, and we are going to be here after the event here as well. We're more than happy to guide you through the process of, what needs to be done. We're always looking for people to bring forward, especially like those who have served in different capacities. I know Ingrid is a great addition on because she has served in so many different capacities. And on top of that, she has also served, in Rotary as a leader. So I think that brings a lot of new perspective how we navigate through this consistently changing environment of diversity and society that we are all living in. And I think this is also very important that we also engage the high school students. I know Lauren, who was here, she's a sophomore, and my daughter, she was supposed to be here today. She's also a sophomore at Dublin Scioto. So it's just great because we do include high school students into some of our decisions, some of like, sometimes on getting their feedback on topics of relevance that are especially multicultural in nature. And, we are all living in a global world, and it's great that, we are preparing our children to be the citizens of the global world in future, because tomorrow when they go somewhere else in other parts of the world, they can carry the spirits of Dublin and the Irish community with them and build another Dublin over there as well. That's the philosophy, at least from my side, so.
Thanks, Imran. Anything else? So thank you all for listening. I hope this has been informative and enlightening, and you learned something new today, like what the word ecumenical means. That was a great question. So I was happy to answer that.
So thank you again for coming and spending time with us and for the important work that you do to help maintain and establish peace in our community. So it's very important work. I'm sure it's a labor of love.
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So next week's program is commemorating Veterans Day and will be hosted by Dave Williamson.
Can I make a
Absolutely.
Next week, we're going to have, speaking of Dublin Scioto High School, John Witt, who is the faculty advisor to the Purple Star Club at Dublin Scioto High School, which is involving students in learning about military, veterans programs, veterans concerns, veterans care. This club, every year, we support them with a financial donation every year. And two things they do very well. One is which they introduce students to veterans. They bring them in. Each student, a member of the club, gets a veteran. They interview this veteran. They put together a big storyboard that shows that veteran's career, what they did, where they served, and their current life and everything else like that. They fill the halls of Dublin Scioto High School. It's tremendous. And the program is there next week. They're gonna do it at Dublin Scioto. I present, I take a uniform and I tell people how to read a uniform. It's a storybook. It's a life bio in one thing. So the kids get educated and learn a lot about what veterans and what military service and secular is. But they also send postcards, birthday cards and things like that to all the veterans in the local community. It's a tremendous program. John Witt's going to describe it and talk about it. Some students are going to be here to bring some of their storyboards in. So I encourage you to bring people with you. Come see this because it's an excellent. And I have a surprise for you, of course.
Our closing quote today comes from Walter Cronkite. Never before, probably, has the need for interfaith commitment been nearly as great as it is at this very moment. Go in peace. See you next week. Oh, one more thing.
Good, yeah.
So we're going to do a photo out in the lobby for October. So we'd love you all to join. So start moving out there.
What year was the quote from Walter Cronkite?
I tried to look it up and I couldn't find the year, but there is a website that has a lot of fabulous quotes.
Yay. Thank you.
I've got to go get all the shots, so it'll take a few minutes for me to get them all together.
Yeah.